We're going to wait a few seconds to make sure that we don't have any lag problems. And everyone, welcome back to Stiglr for the Details. This is episode 10G, going farther and farther into day one at Gettysburg than I ever thought I was going to do when I started this project. Initially thought this was just going to be an introductory playthrough, starting with Heath versus Buford and showing off the mechanics of the system and the gameplay. But as it turns out, my goodness, it's just starting to get good to me. So we just keep on playing. So let's do a quick recap. We are now at the beginning of the 2 p.m. or 1400 turn on July 1st, 1863. And before we do that, I want to correct one of a few problems that I had with the last episode, namely that if we look up here, we have this one cavalry regiment that I did not place any activations for, and so never moved him. And he had one activation of movement. So let's just assume he will enter at the very end of last turn. And I will have him come down the road here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He only has one activation to worry about. Of course, now I will have to make sure that this unit is going to be represented in the draw pools. This is one cavalry, so I will need to draw for efficiency for that entire body, even though for right now there's just one unit on the map. Okay, so let's jump right into it. We have to do efficiency first. The or I'm sorry, not efficiency, but initiative first. Now, at the end of last turn, we saw the first appearance of Robert E. Lee, the Confederate commander. He is an overall commander. Meade, George Gordon Meade, is the Union counterpart, and he is still not on the map. The effect of Lee being on the map is, as you can see from that one at the center right of his counter, this is a number that he can add to the initiative roll if it is better than the other side's commanding officer, if they are both on the map. So I don't know what Meade's rating here is, but if his rating is also 1, then the effect will cancel out provided both are on the map. But since Lee is now on the map, he adds 1 to the Confederate roll for initiative. The Union won initiative on the previous turn, and so they would get a +1, but Lee now cancels that out. So the initiative roll is made without any modifiers. All right, first step is I'm going to begin a log file. I forgot that last turn. What am I going to call this? 2 p.m. turn. We'll call it 3 dog. And we will give it the right suffix. This is a log file. And now that we've begun the log file, we will roll for initiative. We will say CSA initiative first, then Union. And here we go. For the Confederates, a 5. For the Union, a 6. So the Union retain initiative. Now we go to the efficiency phase, and this is where we start with, let's start with the Confederates. We put all of their efficiency markers in the hat. We will check their activation sheet to make sure that there are no efficiency markers hanging around. And we will now draw efficiency for all of the corps that are on the map. So we will draw one for AP Hill. We will draw one for Ewell. Longstreet is not on the map, and we will also make sure to draw one for Stuart for that lone Confederate cavalry unit that is on the map. So let's have a quick look at these. Ewell draws a 4. That's good. AP Hill draws a 2. Stuart's cavalry draws a 3. So we will make our further calculations based on that. So now we will clear the hat of the remaining Confederate efficiencies and throw in all of the Union ones. Fetch out the Union activation marker sheet and now draw one for Reynolds Corps, one for Howard's Corps, and one for Buford's cavalry. And let's have a look at what we have for them. Howard draws a 2. Reynolds draws a 3. Buford's cavalry draws a 2. Okay. Now, based on that, we will have a look at the positions of units, who is in or out of command, and how that affects the efficiency draw. So let's start on the Confederate side, where we have AP Hill. His corps is on the map, as we can see with his little 0 there. He does not have the ability to add an activation to any of the divisions that are with him. So AP Hill drew a 2. So that means that all of the divisions that are within his range will have 2. Any divisions that are out of his range will have 1. So let's have a look at that. And here we see that Heath along this road here is within his range of 7. Actually, he's within range hex-wise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Heath is in command. He will get 2. We have Garnett's cavalry, which were out before, but they are now within range. So I'll remove his out of command banner there. We also see that down the road here, Pender using the road movement rate for leaders, which is 1/2 per hex, easily makes it. Pender is in command. So we're in good shape here as far as Heath and Pender and the Garnet artillery are concerned. Moving over here, we have Ewell, who is now on the map to command all of the Second Corps forces. And that means we have Rhodes, who he is stacked with. He will be in command. So then all of these other dark brown units will likewise be in command, except for this Iverson and Daniel Brigade, which are on the other side of Oak Hill, and they will be out of command. Let us now mark Daniel to show that he will be out of command. And coming onto the map this turn as reinforcements, we have Early, who is part of the second command for Ewell. So as they enter, they are assumed to still be in command. So they will be in command. So we have Early's division and we have Rhodes' division, both of which are in command. And Ewell drew a 4 for his efficiency. We also see that Ewell does not add or subtract from any of his divisions. So we will put 4 activation marker chits into the pool for both of those divisions. And for this lone cavalry unit, we had to draw for Stewart, who drew a 3. So he gets 3 for the 1 cavalry formation. All right. So what we'll do is open up this. We'll start with, whoops, actually opened up the pieces display. I don't want that. I want the AMs and EMs, specifically activation markers. And so we will start with the Confederate March chit. Not sure if that's going to be even used this turn. I don't think so, but you should put that into there in case during the order segment you decide to change your plans. It's always a good idea to put that in there just for as an option. We'll also put the random event chit in there to start. Okay. Now we have Early, and he will have 4 chits into the hat. 3, 4. We will have Rhodes, the other second corps unit. They will have 4 in the hat. We have Stewart's cavalry, who have 3 activations into the hat. And finally, we have Heath, who, as part of AP Hill, has 2. And Heath gets 2. All right. So all the Confederate units that are on the map or will be on the map are accounted for. Now let's do the same for the Union. So we have Howard's Corps, which drew a 2 efficiency. Let's check. Let's move this away for the side for a second and check on Howard, who should be pretty close to town now. There he is. And we see that Howard also has a 0 rating and does not add or detract from any of his units. We know that Barlow is in command, and we know that there are some reinforcements and this artillery which are not in command. Well, let's see how far Schurz is back. He may actually be in command. Let's see. Howard has a radius of 5. So using the pike movement rate of 1/2, he can be up to 10 hexes behind him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, he's not going to make it. So Schurz is going to be out of command, but still in March. So he will still have the option to stay in March and use as many activations as he wants to in March. Let's see, and also behind him we have von Steinwehr, who's also going to be out of command, but also actually should be wearing his March banner. And the Union also get a single regiment of straggling units, which are coming on this turn. They will likewise be actually in command. And this is a part of the 2nd Division, which would be, here we are, von Steinwehr's division. And so we would put two activations for Barlow in the hat. And actually, I'm going to assemble all of these here without putting them in the hat first, because the union has to decide who to start with, and they will leave them out of the hat. So I will place two Barlow chits there, and for von Steinwehr, I will only place one, and that takes care of 11th Corps. And then going to 1st Corps, let me refresh my memory there. They have 3 activations. Let's check on Reynolds, and we see that he has a +1. So he can actually add a 4th activation to any division within his command radius. And I think he will add that to, let's see, Doubleday or Wadsworth. Let's see. I think he will add his 4th to Wadsworth here. So let's see if we can do this properly. Wadsworth will get 4 activation chits to draw from. So I'll draw these onto the map, or onto the draw pools. 4. Then Robinson and Doubleday, who are both within Reynolds' range, will only be able to use 3. That's still a pretty good haul. There's Robinson and Doubleday. 1, 2, 3, and then finally Buford's cavalry, which I believe drew a 2. Then Buford, by his own initiative, ramps that up to 1. So let's find Buford's cavalry, and they get 3. 1, 2, 3. And I will show you on, if I can quickly uncover the location of Buford. We can see on his counter that +1 in the yellow box at the bottom is his ability to add an activation to any one of his, or to his activations on his own initiative. The 2 that he has here at the top of the right column of numbers, that reflects his rating to be able to try to coordinate. He adds 2 to the die roll to attempt to coordinate brigades. Okay, now that we've got all of the Union activation markers ready to stage into the hat, we have to decide who does the Union player want to start with, and we will leave 1 activation marker out of the hat to start. Let's have a look here. Ardwolf is in the house. Hello, Ardwolf. Glad to have you here. Feel free to pipe in with any comments, or even if I make mistakes, which I've made my share here, you can place them there and I will hopefully notice them soon after you post them and can deal with them there. My biggest problem that I've been having through all of these telecasts is that I'm getting all of these first corps divisions mixed up here, and I've been kind of moving the wrong brigades constantly. So I'm hoping to improve upon that here now. All right, getting back to the action, let's see, where does the Union want to start? Good candidate might be the Iron Brigade here, trying to set up a blocking position. They have a chance to get in a shot here, or we might want to start with this unit here, which I believe is actually going to be out of command. The division commander here is the 1st Division. Let's see who's there. That's Barlow. His radius, yeah, is only 4, so even using the pike, this brigade is going to be out of command, but still they could use the first activation to either solidify their position or react to this cavalry unit that's thundering up behind them. Those are good candidates for the Union to start with. They could start with perhaps using this regiment here from Robinson's division to get in a shot on Pettigrew, who still has 2 very good order units there. Or they could start maybe to back up and take up a position here on McPherson's Ridge. That might be an idea to start with. What to do? We also have some forces here that are on the spur of Oak Hill. What to do? What to do? I think what I'm going to do is to be aggressive with the Union. We have the Iron Brigade facing up against Ramsor's units here, which are better than a lot of the Confederate units are coming onto the map. Maybe use an opportunity to get in a strike, but then might be better to just get the line in better shape. So let's assume that the Union are going to want to start with Wadsworth's division here. He's based here. Meredith is going to be out of command and it's going to get 1 fewer, but they've got 4 to use during the turn, so 3 is still a good haul. They can decide later in the turn to sit out one of those activations after maybe they're already in place. So let us assume then that Wadsworth is the unit that we want to start with. So we will use Wadsworth in play here, and we will place all of the rest of the Union activation chits into the hat. And this is going to be quite a long turn to get through. Also, we want to not forget to add the Union March chit into the hat as well. The Union still has many units that are in March. Okay, so we've done that. And now that we've done activation stocking, now we move to the free orders change phase that is eligible to any units that are in command all the way down the chain. So let's go back to the Confederates. We know that AP Hill is in good shape with all of his units, so all of these units here will get a chance to change their orders if they want to. Davis's brigade, which is newly ineffective because all of his units are disordered as of the end of last turn, he's going to kind of draw him in his fangs a little bit and change his orders back to advance. Pettigrew, I think Pettigrew is going to stay under attack orders. And let's see, Archer here is now within range of Heath, whose radius is 4 leader movement points, and that translates to hexes. So he is no longer out of command. Let's see. They will also drop out of attack into advance orders because the brigade that was here last turn is now moved over here. So they should start to move in and figure out what they're going to do either against these units or some other units. Iverson's brigade is out of command of Rhodes, who is over here. So they stay out of command. They're not eligible to change their orders. And even if they wanted to, they're not going to change from advance orders. These units here, I think we're going to have some changes here. I think O'Neill wants to change to attack orders and pitch into Barlow over here. Ramseur, likewise, they're just going to go all in. Confederates are on attack footing. Dole has to move up. He will stay in advance orders. These units, while it is tempting to leave them in march orders and have them get into the road network and go in here and raise some problems, they still do not want to be under march orders and with no support. Because if the Union were to divert some forces to get into their march column while it's deployed, that would be disastrous. So I think I'm going to leave them to enter all in. Well, hang on now. Yeah, I think they need to all enter in advance orders, and so we'll leave them in advance. Moving down here, we've got Pender's division, and let's say they want to change Jimmy Lane into attack orders. This brigade, Perrin, is no longer out of command. He will also change to attack footing. Let's leave Thomas's brigade, which is minding the artillery. As you can see, they are stacked underneath the artillery. Let's keep them in advance orders and leave Scales in advance because he still has to move over this hillock and get into the woods before he's in position to attack. So he's going to have to rely on his own initiative during the turn to attack. So there we are with them. And as far as the 11th Corps for the Union, this division or this brigade which is still in command. They're going to stay in advance. These guys are out of command and can't change from advance even if they wanted to. The units in the march column, which are also out of advance, have to wait for the march chit to come out before they can attempt to leave march orders. And they're also far enough back to where they're probably not going to want to do that anyway. Okay, so there's the order changes such as they are. And I believe after a check to see if Ardwolf has any more comments, and he does not, we're going to start the turn with Wadsworth's division. Okay, so Wadsworth's division activates, and that is comprised of 2 brigades. And let's see where they are. One is Cutler, which is stacked with him. Cutler is given a radius of 4, so he can get to all of these units and keep them in command. The other brigade is not stone. It's the Iron Brigade over here. They are likewise, or they are actually out of command. They're going to have to sit out one of these activations, but I don't think this is going to be the one. All right. So we have 2 units here in Cutler's brigade, which are disordered. One is still in good order. They're not actually in any kind of peril. So what we're going to do is we're going to move Cutler over to the largest of these and have him attempt to rally them with a -1 for his 1 star, -1 modifier to the rally roll. We'll roll. We rolled a 6. Reduced by 1 is 5, and that exactly matches his efficient or his morale rating. So this unit is deemed to have successfully rallied. He'll keep his facing there. The other unit will have to try and rally on his own steam. And we roll a 3, and he is also successful. And he rallies. And then we have this unit straggling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They will form a bit of an echelon. And that's all for Cutler's activation. The Iron Brigade is going to set up a line here, and they might as well border here on von Gilsa's units. So they are still in advance. They have their full movement allowance. So 1, 2, facing change 3, facing change 4, 5. Let's go right here. 6. There's your facing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change facing there. Now this unit, which has 9 strength points, let's get creative. Go 1, 2, facing change 3, 4, facing change, and then spend a 5th movement point. Whoops, not the turn record. I want the markers to extend the line to the right here. Where is extended line to the right? Into that hex. Flip it to the blue side. We have another 10 unit here. So let's move this unit 1, 2, 3, 4 to change more than one vertex and facing, 5 to extend the line, and move this unit here. Move Meredith onto the end here so he can be as close as possible to his division leader. And now we have the Iron Brigade forming a iron barrier now to the Confederates. We have this Wainwright's artillery, which is subordinate now to Wadsworth's division and has been for some time. They are perched up here on top of this hillock, the nub end of Oak Hill, and if we hide that, we can also see by zooming in a bit that there is a steep slope here, which will frustrate any efforts to try to overrun that position. However, they are not going to have any immediate support. So now the question is, do we leave them there or do we start taking pot shots at Ramsar? Well, knowing that we've got some support that is going to be coming from the 3rd Division, that's Doubleday's division, we're going to take a bit of a chance and we're going to try and soften up these advancing Confederate units. So let's see what kind of guns we got under here. We have 6 3-inch rifles, and we are going to target, let's target this unit here. So we have no line of sight issues here, but just for the exercise, we're going to work out that fact. So this unit is actually in a bit of a swale here, so we'll call this light blue terrain level 1. This is level 2. This is level 3, and they are on level 4. So if you total up 1 and 4 for the position of the 2 units, that would be 5. Divide that by 2, that would be 2.5. So anything higher than 2.5, or in the case 3, would be potential blocking terrain. So if this is level 1, this is level 2, this peach colored terrain would be the potential blocking terrain if it is closer to the higher unit than the lower, and as we can see, that's not the case. So there are no line of sight issues there. So let's trace our line of sight there again. We see that we are at range 5, and we can start to work out our shot here. So we have the designation of TB, or 3-inch rifles, at a range of 5, and the modifier there is 0. Let's move that out of the way. So we have 0 for range and weapon type. We have a higher unit firing on a lower unit, so we have plunging fire, that's a +1 bonus. We have no other terrain or positional advantages. The unit is size 4. It's not large enough to get a target size bonus, so we have a total of a +1 modifier, and we're firing with 6 guns on the bombardment table because at range 5 we are outside the canister range, which is 3. So +1 on the roll, which is a 0. So that's probably not going to result in anything for this shot. So we go to the bombardment. We have 6 guns. We rolled a modified 1, and that is a D-3 result. And with a 7 cohesion, there's no way he can fail that. So that turns out to be a wasted shot. Okay. So that is going to do it. Let's zoom out a little bit. That's going to do it for the first division's activation. So now we will, oops, let's see, get the draw pool marker, move Wadsworth's chit into the activation played marker, or the Union AM sheet, and we will draw the next, and we get Wadsworth again. Just so you know, I have made a post on Facebook on the Vassal Wargamers America page, and I have noticed that we are getting a bunch of doubles and bunched draws for the chits. Now that we've got about 10 different divisions on the map, I would expect that we would not see as many doubles popping out of the hat as we are seeing. A lot of the usual people who defend the randomizing features in Vassal are kind of digging in their heels and saying that the randomization works fine both for the die rolls and for the draw pools and the card decks. But here's another instance that we're seeing right out of the hat after the hat has been stocked with counters. They're supposed to come out in a random order, and right away we see Wadsworth. But anyway, that's what we got. So let's move on. We got a second one. So right away, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Meredith, the Iron Brigade, sit out this activation because they are out of command. They have to use one fewer activation. So I'm going to have them sit out this one. So let's find my inactivity marker. Inactivity, and I'm just going to place it here behind the line. I'm going to change the label. And that tells me they have fulfilled their out of command duties by sitting out one activation. Cutler, on the other hand, I think now that he's got everybody in good order, they're going to use their activation to move up and support the Wainwright battery and also to extend this line. So the first unit will march up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and join the battery. The second unit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there is a good position for them. This unit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they've almost solidified that line there. And that's going to do it for their activation. And so once again, we go back to the draw pool chit, move the Wadsworth chit into the used activation, bring this back and draw the next. And it is Barlow. So we haven't even gotten any of the Confederate markers to draw. And we know that we added all of the Union chits in at the end. So again, this is pointing up to the fact that if the draw pool hat is supposed to be randomizing, it is not really doing a good job of it. Be that as it may, this is Barlow's division. And here we have two brigades. We have Ames Brigade here, which is in command, and we have von Gilsa, who is not. Von Gilsa is actually in a good spot. So I'm going to clone this sit out one activation and place it there. And I'm going to use the activation for Ames here after first checking to see if his show hide fatigue is working. It was not last time. I'm going to try to add fatigue for him. Now it's working. Interesting. That feature was not working in our last telecast. So I'll get rid of this marker. Okay. And let's have him move in behind von Gilsa in a supporting role. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to leave a little space so that any of von Gilsa's units that are forced to retreat will have some room to do so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a facing change. It's unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finally, this unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll move him actually in there. We'll move Ames to a position here in the center. And then we will also move Barlow, the division commander, out this road here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. He will stop here for lunch at this little homestead of George Vealmantle. And that will do it for his activation. So that one was short and sweet. And we will now move the Barlow activation chit. And I'll show you what I'm doing. Move it there. Here's the stack of 2 Wadsworth chits there that have been used. And we will move right along. And we get Doubleday. Wow. Wow. So that's 3 Union activation chits and no Confederate chits that have been drawn so far. Okay, I'm going to have some additional ammunition to use when I return to my Facebook debate. But in the meantime, we'll take the chits as they're drawn, and we get Doubleday, who I believe that's Robinson. This is Doubleday. Where is he? This is Robinson, 2nd Division. Doubleday is here. He is the 3rd Division, and his 2 brigades are Baxter's brigade here. And no, not Baxter. He's from the 2nd Division. He's under Robinson. We have Stone here. He is definitely 3rd Brigade. And we have this one here, which is Rowley, but Rowley's replacement brigade here. Now, let's see who's in command and who is not. Wadsworth or Doubleday has a range of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Stone is in command. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rowley, however, is not. So let's mark him out of command. And let's also change our stacking order there so we have Doubleday here. He is not out of command of Reynolds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's remove that banner. Okay. Um, let's see what we want to do. All right, we've got this Davis brigade here on the ropes. This would be a good time to use these attack orders to walk in and see if you can just lay waste to this entire brigade. That would be worth the risk of getting here amongst Pettigrew, who has the best troops, but they've taken a bunch of casualties themselves and are not in the best position. Yeah. Let's see if we can heap some misery here on Davis. Um, so, but first, let us decide what we're going to do with Rowley here first. I have been moving him back, seeing all these Confederate troops here moving down the road. So I'm thinking they might want to stay where they are. They're actually in good position. So I'm going to borrow another inactivity marker and place it there. Now let's go back to Stone. Stone is going to roll the dice and get in amongst Davis's group here. Now Pettigrew still has a unit facing front, so we don't want to involve them. However, we can do this. You move up 1 here. It'll cost 1 to cross Willoughby's Run. That'll be 2. And that will make for 3. Now the question is, do we fire? If we fire at this unit with its horrible cohesion of only 1, which is improved to 2 by Davis's presence, if we fire at this unit, which we can do because we're under attack orders and can move and fire, if we fire at that unit, we have every chance that we're going to force it to take losses and retreat. However, if we do that, he will get away and not be shockable. So we are going to withhold that and just declare a cavalry charge there. Now, in so doing, that's going to not allow this unit to get anywhere close unless he wants to tangle with Pettigrew's unit, which probably is not a very good idea. So let's see what kind of terrain we got. We are behind the Willoughby's Run. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This unit is going to change facing and go 1, change facing again, 2, and then 3. And then it is going to fire over here at this unit. That unit will also, let's see, it will commit to returning that fire. And also this unit here under Davis, being adjacent to the targeted unit, can also, no, it cannot return fire because this unit in this hex is blocking the line of sight to that unit. So these two units will now exchange fire. So we'll start here with 9 strength points. 7 can fire out of a hex, so 7 strength points of rifles at range 2 is +1. No prepared fire bonus because the unit moved, and that's the only bonus that we get. So we're on the 7 column of the small arms table and a +1. So we rolled a 1, that turns into a 2, which is not very good. And on the 6 to 8 table, a 2 is a D-1. So we have a 5 cohesion. So if he rolls 6 or better, he will survive. He rolls a 1 and he passes. He also returns fire with rifles, 7 strength points of rifles, +1 for range. He is disordered, so the -1 for that. And he also gets no prepared fire bonus because he is disordered. So he has a shot with 0 modifiers. He rolls a 4, which on the 6 to 8 table is a lowercase d. So a unmodified UDD check. He rolls a 0, and so that is the very definition of desultory fire. Then Stone will move in to support the shock. And I'll get rid of this notice here. And we declare a shock against Davis, who should not have an out of command marker. And let's see. We declare our target to be this hex. And then the Confederates now have a choice to make whether to stand or retreat. They have 12 strength points, and their problem is that this unit has a very, very low cohesion. So it's probably not going to make or stand for a check if it is there. But if it retreats, it will still have to make a UDD because he's already disordered, and that would be with no modifier except for Davis's 1 star. So it's a case of damned if I do and damned if I don't. Also complicating the decision is if he makes a retreat and ends up in this hex here with the check cohesion marker and then subsequently fails and then routes, all of these units, which would be adjacent to him, would have to check too. If he tries to stand here, then only these 2 units would have to check if he routes. So he's just not in a good position anywhere. So he will attempt to stand there. So he has to make a check for pre-shock. And because he is disordered, there is a +1 to the die roll. Davis lends his star to the roll, and so that's a -1. So they all cancel out. So he has an unmodified check, but he has a 1 cohesion. So he rolls a 1. Wow, he actually passes. Okay, so a bit of luck for the Confederates. Now they get defensive fire as these troops roll in. And they have 12 strength points jammed into that hex. And as you can see, Stone with only 6 was counting on them to just flee as they charged, but they're standing. They're saying, hey, we got too many guys. So here we go. So we have 7 strength points of rifles, +1 for weapon at range, -1 because they are disordered, -2 because they're low on ammo. So now we're at a total of -2 for the defensive fire. So we roll a 4, -2 becomes a 2, and that is a D -1 result. Stone is in the hex, so it becomes a D -3. And with a cohesion of 7, there's no way they can fail that. So the defensive fire is ineffective. So now we go to the final phase of the shock, which is the actual assault itself. So we start with manpower, and here we find 6 attacking 12. So that is very neatly 1 to 2 for the manpower odds. And that is going to be, let's see, 1 to 2 is -2 on the die. We have the Union not being disordered, and the Confederate is disordered. So that's a +1 on the Union's favor. So that is a total of -1 for total modifiers. And we have facing wise just a straight on assault, so there's no flank or positional benefits. We can hide the counters. This is all flat terrain, so there are no terrain benefits. No other things to consider. Other things that might come into play is uh, if the Stone Brigade were not under attack footing and decided to press an assault, that would be a -1 for making an assault in advance, but that's not the case. So we have a total of a -1 to the die roll for the shock, and we roll, we get an 8, which is reduced to a 7, and that is a defender retreats 1 hex and is disordered. And this is going to be problematic for our Confederates. They've got 12 strength points, so they can't decide to retreat anywhere but here. Now that they are disordered, they began this process disordered, so that becomes a second disorder. So they have to roll, and if they pass, they will continue their retreat and shed a strength point. If they fail, they rout, and then that will have possible deleterious effects on all these other units around them. So let's see what happens as a result of the second disorder. Davis reduces the die roll by 1, being a leader, and wow, they rolled a 2, which is reduced to a 1, and his cohesion is actually 1. So he passes again. This is amazing. Okay, so now returning to our second disorder chart, and I've got to find out what is the effect of second disorder is retreat 1 or 2 and lose a strength point. So they have to actually keep going. So what they will do is they will shove their way through this unit here in Pettigrew's brigade, keep going until they go to this hex, and they will lose a strength point down to 11. This unit, because they got run through, would have to make a cohesion check, They'll probably pass it because they've got an A cohesion. They do pass it, so no ill effects there. And then we have to check to see if Davis is a casualty because they lost a strength point, and we roll a 9, so he's fine. Stone's unit now has to advance to take that hex, and that is the end of the shock after they become disordered. So all units that participated in a shock that went all the way through to shock resolution. Ooh, wait, I forgot something. I forgot to factor in the infantry charge into the results. Does that change? The result was, excuse me, was 8, and the result was a -1, which turned it into a 7. This bonus would make it an 8. And let's see, that might change the result of the shock. That one modifier might. Yes. Continued shock is a possibility because of the charge. Okay. So as they advance, let's now not apply post-disorder shock. They advance into the hex, and now they have the option, or actually, no, they must continue shock because they charged. The impetus will cause them to have to continue shock. So let me get a continued shock marker. Let's see. Actually, it's the other side of this counter. Continued shock. Let's get rid of the infantry now because that effect has already been realized. Okay, now they advance into this hex. They could change facing one hex if they wanted to. They don't because they have this unit's flank already. Pettigrew's unit has the option to change its facing if they want to risk a UDD. They will not, because these units here are still kind of imperiling them, and they know that they are not going to be the target of the continued shock, so they will stay there. So now Stone is on the flank of this unit, which can also decide to risk a UDD to get that unit off its flank, which they will not. The Confederates have had a lot of luck during this shock that this unit here did not just vaporize, so they're not going to press their luck. They still have a manpower advantage, and yeah, so they also do not have to make a pre-shock check because this is a continued shock. So they're gonna kind of stay there and take their chances. So but hang on, they do have the option to retreat before the shock comes in under risk of a UDD. Oof. No, they're going to stand. They're going to try and stand. So they do not retreat before shock. The unit attacking them is on their flank, so they do not get any pre-shock fire. So we go right to the continued shock. And again, we have 6 strength points attacking 8. So that is, I believe, also 1 to 2, or is it 1 to negative 1.5? Yes, 1 to negative 1.5 is a -1 for manpower. This is the first continued shock, so we get another -1 for that, so we're up to -2. But let's see, and then the Union is still not yet disordered. The Confederates are, so that's a +1 for the Union side. So now we're down to a total of -1, and they are attacking through a flank, which adds 3. So now we're up to a +2 for the total shock. So we'll roll and we get a 1, which +2 turns into a 3, and now we have a standoff. So now both sides are disordered. So now they are disordered during the shock. They are disordered, and it becomes a second disorder for them. So they have to roll to see if they pass. And they do pass with a 5. So the effect on them is to lose a strength point and retreat 1 or 2 hexes. They will retreat 1 hex, and that's going to be it for them. Stone has the option to advance, but will not take it. That concludes the shock. And now the post-shock disorder effect is, because they are now already disordered, they will lose a strength point. So now we'll check to see if Stone was one of those who fell, and with a 7, he is not. So that's the end of that shock, and also the end of, oh, hold on. We do have the option to change Wadsworth's position. Let's see where he is. His radius is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Stone has moved himself out of range. Let's see if we can find a happy medium. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if he goes there, Wadsworth moves here to the Willis farm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cutler will be in range, and also Stone will. There we go. So that will do it. So we will move the Doubleday activation chit into the spent AM space on the Union order of battle chart, and we'll move to our next activation, and we get the Confederate March. And if I recall, the Confederates have nobody else in March. They had planned to drop this unit out of March. So the Confederates have no march. They have a substantial body of reinforcements here, but we determined that they would enter in advance orders because they're going to go right into the attack. So the Confederate March chit is ignored and just moved on onto the Confederate order battle chart. We'll draw the next one, and now we get roads. Finally start to see some Confederate draws here. All right, roads activates, and let's use the overview. It's still hard to see, but Rhodes has troops entering on either side of Oak Hill here. Let's stow that. So we've got 2 out of command brigades here for Rhodes, and 2, or actually more than that, 3, which are in command to the east of Oak Hill. We will also remember, for activation purposes, that Rhodes will have 4 activations to draw from. So they have a wealth of attack options. And these two brigades will have to sit out at least one, so they can use only three. But still, that's plenty for what they may have planned. Okay, so let's see, what do we want Rhodes to do? We've got to start somewhere. We've got to get this attack going in earnest. So we're contemplating the Iron Brigade right in front of us, who are an excellent match for Ramsar's units, which have really nice cohesion, but there's not nearly as many of them as there are in the Iron Brigade. There's one option. Coming in behind them, we have O'Neill's brigade, which has a good unit in front and mediocre units in back, and another good one here in the back. And they've also got artillery. This might be a good unit to send in against von Gilsa. We've got Dole's brigade, which are some pretty good troops coming in behind. Got 4 activations to use to develop this attack. So let's say we're going to bring Dole with his better troops in here to back up Ramsur, and then we'll decide who to try and pile into. And O'Neill is going to start to develop over here and hit von Gilsa, and then we'll see what additional pressure this division of Early's can add by coming in behind them here. So there's our game plan. Okay, let's activate. We're looking at this artillery up on the hillock here, and it's well fortified here from the south and from the east, but there's a little bit of a notch to get into there. However, there are more Union troops on that side, so I don't know if we're going to be able to pull off a flanking assault there. Of course, the only other option is straight ahead into the Iron Brigade, which is not a very happy choice to make there. What to do, what to do. Okay, let's simply deploy here in a position where we can do either and see what the Union are going to do. So the first thing we're going to do is start with Dole's brigade and move them up 1, 3, go around the swamp, 4, 5, 6. 1, Biggie. 2, sorry about my chihuahua. 4, 5. It's kind of an occupational hazard around my household. 2, 3, 4. Actually, we'll move him in there to stack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll move him in there to stack. 6, and then move Dole there. There's the Dole Brigade. Ramsar's already on attack footing, but I don't think he's going to make a move right away. Well, maybe. Doesn't want to get too close to this battery. Range 3 is approach fire distance. So there's kind of the line of death there. So they can move 1 more forward. Okay. All right. We got them. Now we've got O'Neill, who's under attack footing, and we're just gonna pitch in here and just go for it. We're going to let me check the terrain under here. We're going to pitch into this unit here. We're going to go 1, 2, and we're going to exchange fire with this unit. They are going to fire back. Okay, so let's first fire with the Confederate units at 7 strength points of rifles into this extended unit. 7 of rifles, that's +1 for weapon type. The unit moves, so no no prepared fire bonus. Also, if we hide, this unit is in terrain into the woods, so the woods is a -1 modifier. So the total is a unmodified fire attack. They'll fire and they get a 9. Nice shot there. So 7 strength points with a 9 is a 1 and automatic disorder. That's nice. So they are disordered and they take a strength point loss. And let's call this oops, 9. Put it under the extended line marker. Now they fire back, and because they are in an extended line, they can fire all 10 of their strength points. Say 5 out of this hex here, 5 out of this hex here, and this is simultaneous, so the strength point loss has not taken effect yet. So they have 10 strength points. They have a weapon type of E for Enfield rifles. So I'm going to have to check and see range attenuation is for this different weapon type, and they are considered to be the European rifle muskets. So they have a +1 bonus and a prep fire to a maximum of 1 hex, whereas the regular rifles have it out to a range of 2. They do get that. So +1 for the Enfield rifles, +1 for prepared fire, and let's hide that. The Confederates are only in that grove. They do not get a terrain bonus for the orchard. Oh, actually, yes, they do. So +1 for prepared fire, +1 for the rifles, and -1 for the orchards. So they have a total of a +1, but they're firing on the 10 table. They roll an 8, which is modified to a 9 on the 10 table. That's a 1 ND as well. So they are flipped and disordered, and now they're down to 6. Wow. That's a lot of fire there. Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to try and mute my mic and quiet my dog. Hang on a second. And we're back. Sorry about that. Had to try and mute my dog. Okay, so where were we? Where's my mouse? There we are. So they took a loss and they're disordered themselves. So now we have 6 versus 9. Okay, so that didn't work out really good. Okay, and now we have this unit here who, they can't quite make it into this scrap that's forming, but they will go 1, 2, 3, change their facing there, relying on these trees to block line of sight. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They will support there. It's a pretty big brigade. 1, 2. Let's move him there. 1, 2, 3. And let's see, O'Neill is going to, you know what? O'Neill is going to jump in there and they're going to try and assault these units because they have such poor cohesion. We're thinking we can move them off or out of that position there oh, it's just woods. Yeah, we think we can move them there, even with a manpower detriment. Okay, so we have finished this brigade's activation. So we have to do their shock before we start to move any other brigades. So they declare a shock attack here. The Union has to decide whether to stand or fight. And what's the decision going to be? They're disordered, so if they stand, they have a +1 modifier on their pre-shock cohesion check, which is not good. If they back up, they still have to make a check, but it'll be against against their cohesion with no modifiers. Either way, it looks bad, but to stand looks worse at this point. So they are going to yield there. They're going to make their check and they roll a 2 and they pass. O'Neill has the option to advance into either one of those hexes, and actually they will not. They've been kind of stung. They need to regroup a bit, so they will stay there, not advance, and that ends the shock. Moving on to the west side of Oak Hill, we have these brigades over here, and they're going to move in position to try and move Rowley's boys off of this spur of Oak Hill. They're under advance orders. 2, 3, 4, 6. Go to that flank. 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they will extend their line to the left, to the Confederate side and extend that line there. Iverson will stay on the road. Now, this artillery here, which is attached to the division, I think is going to take some pot shots at these units here. And first, let us see if there are any line of sight issues. So here we have this terrain level, which is one level higher than this and the same level as these trees. So they can still lob shells over it to a target, which is actually one terrain level above. Let's see what kind of guns we got. We got 3-inch rifles and Parrott 10s, 10-pounders at a range of 9. Okay, let's see what we got. TBs. TB at range 9 and Parrott 10s at range 9. 3-inch rifles at range 9 are -1. Parrott 10 rifles are at -1 as well. So let's combine all 4 guns with the same modifier into one shot. So 4 guns at a range 9 is a -1. They are actually firing uphill, so they don't get a plunging fire bonus. There's no other terrain. Oh, no. They are in an orchard, which we found actually does have a -1 effect on fire. Let's see. So we have a total modifier of -2, and we have 4 guns firing. Let's see what happens. An 8, pretty good roll. 8 minus 2 is 6. So we have 4 guns firing on the bombardment table with a result of 6. That's a lowercase d. So it's a straight unmodified UDD. However, they have the brigadier there, so that will reduce the roll by 1. And bombardment fire attacks each of the units separately. They face the same fire. So we roll the die roll once, but because they have different cohesions, the result could end up being different. So the die roll will be modified by -1 because of the brigadier, and that's a 4, so that becomes a 3, and both of those units will pass that. Moving next door, we have Napoleons and Parrots at a range of 9. And let's see what we get there for range attenuation. Whoops, there we go. Parrots at a range of 9 we know is -1. And Napoleons are also -1. Same modifier, so we can combine those guns as well. So 4 guns, also at a range of, let's fire at this unit since he doesn't have leadership in the hex. Same range, -1 for range. He is not in an orchard, I don't believe. No. So it's only a -1 modifier on that shot. And he rolls a 5, which becomes a 4. And a 4 with 4 guns on the bombardment table. A 4 becomes a D-1. And so they have a cohesion of 5, so a 6 or greater will pass. They roll a 7, so they are disordered. So we had some effective fire there. Now we move to Daniel's brigade, and they are going to try and move up into a position to strengthen the attack. These are pretty good troops. So let's move them in on Iverson's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The woods are going to kind of stop them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's move into the woods for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Finally, this unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not enough to get into the woods. Daniel there. And that's it. Okay, so that is the entire division. So we move Rhodes, spent chit here, and draw the next activation. The Stuart Cavalry, the one single unit who's over here. And you know, this unit can actually get into some devilment if he wants. This is inviting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, since we're actually attempting to kind of get into the system and show all its little wrinkles and things, we are going to attempt to launch a cavalry charge. And when we do that, the unit has to make a UDD, which if it passes, it can successfully charge. This unit is also leaderless, so it only has its own cohesion to use. So we roll against a 7, and we roll a 7. And what do you know? We are able to launch a cavalry charge, but also we have to change our orders under our own volition. So that's another UDD, which is a 4, which it passes. So it passes both of them, and we get a, first off, let's see if it has an orders banner. No, it does not. So I've got to use a orders marker. And we go to attack orders. And then we also get a charge marker. Where is it? Oh, it's under I for infantry charge, I believe. Yes, infantry or cavalry charge. We'll flip that over. Ah, can't see the back. Well, it's still a cavalry charge. Okay, now because this unit has 9 strength points under advance, that's halved to 5 when it's under attack orders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it can still do its charge. Other things with a cavalry charge is that none of the hexes that you enter during the charge can cost more than 1 movement point. And as you can see, they're all clear terrain hexes. He can avoid this bog area, which would pretty much stop the charge right there. But he can move right there. And you also cannot change your facing during, I believe, the last 3 hexes of the charge have to be straight. It can fulfill the charge by doing both of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and end up there. right in the rear of this unit. And that seemed to be enough for this unit. And now we've got some really interesting things going on here, because a cavalry charge which is launched through the rear or the flank, I believe the strength points are doubled. Let me check the rules real quick to make sure that that is in fact the case. And actually, we can find that on our player aid under the bonuses, I believe, for shocks. Mounted cavalry charging through the flank or rear are double printed strength points right there. So that's a good thing to have at your disposal. So they will have 6 doubled to 12 versus the Union's 9 strength points. So that's good. Okay, so this unit here pretty much knows that it's in trouble again, but its options to retreat are going to imperil this unit and this if it routes as a result of the retreat. Still, that's a lot of strength points to lose by routing from that position too. Not good. I think they're going to try and take their lumps right there, because I don't want them to have route rot imperil the rest of these troops. So I think they're going to stop there. So they are going to attempt to stand. They have a -1 modifier to that roll for being disordered. Let's see if there are any other detriments. This says +2 when disordered, but this is an old player chart. The system mandates a +1 for disordered units checking post-shock, but it is being attacked in the flank or the rear, so that adds another +1. And cavalry charging any unit except mounted cavalry, so that's going to be a +3. That is nasty. And also, units that are facing a cavalry charge do not have the option to retreat before shock, because they just can't get out of the way fast enough. So they have no option other than to add 3 to the roll. And with a cohesion of 2, there's actually no way they can pass. So they fail their cohesion check. And so then they roll again to see what the results of that are. And they roll an 8, and the result is going to be just a rout right then. So let's get rid of the extended line, and we will place the routed unit in the Barlow routed units box. And then they can advance into this hex, and they are not blown or disordered as a result of the charge, because the mass of men routed into the woods behind them, and they just pulled up in the woods. So they got a free cavalry charge out of that. And that was a very good uh, turn of fortune for the Confederates. Oops. So we move Stuart's cavalry out of here and into its activation use, and we draw the next, and we get early. It's never too late for early. early forms the body of the Confederate reinforcements that are entering here. And so we are starting to see some havoc on the far Union right. So let's start with, first I'm going to check the order battle card and see if the order is mandated by, I'm actually not sure. Let's see the note. I think if they must enter in a particular order, then that is noted on the list of the units entering, and this list does not have a particular order. So I'm assuming the brigades can order or can enter in any order they choose. So I'm going to start with this brigade of shock troops with 8 cohesion. That's Gordon's boys. They are going to lead the way. Okay, so they are going to enter in advance, and I'm going to assume that to get here they've been following the road. So I'm going to make use of extended uh, column markers for any units that are large enough. So that'll be 1 to enter, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's get as many units on the map as possible. 2, 3, 4. Now we have the large unit. No, they're all 6. Now, all of these units can enter anywhere within this area. So they could have used uh, the approach to shake out into a line, and they could just all enter along this frontage. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to assume these other brigades are going to enter along this front. So let's see, the next brigade, this is the artillery, then we have more infantry. This is another very good brigade. This is a good brigade as well, and a large one. So let's move them. And I apologize for my yappy chihuahua again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They will do 1, 2, 3. We'll do it this way. Enter in a echelon. This. Keep in mind that these following units would have paid extra movement points to move in behind these front units. So I start counting from 2 and 3 after these first 3 units enter. These others would move in behind them. Put the leader there. Similarly, we will enter. Whoops, let's move the brigadier there. We will enter these units here. we've got some woods here, so let's go 1, 2, 3 to get the road, then 4, 5, 6. Need an extended column for them to negotiate the woods. Okay, then we have another unit just following their lead. Extended column marker. And this unit is simply following behind them. We'll say artillery, and then we have a Smith's Brigade. We'll have them enter exactly where I place them to start. And they will enter using these 2 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The next one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll move there. And then the third unit, form a wedge here. The leaders with a movement allowance of 10 can easily get to anywhere their charges can. What to do with the artillery? Oh boy. Well, let's see. Where would they deploy in the fight? I think eventually they would probably want to be on this hillside once the battle develops more. So let's keep them here on the flank and move on to this road. So let's see what the woods means for artillery. Costs them 4 movement points to move through that. Okay, let us then assume that they can get 2 batteries into 1 hex. So there's 2 batteries. They enter. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There would be 3. Well, they could have been right behind them. So we'll call this 4 movement points to enter this hex behind Smith's Brigade. 4, 6, 8. Then these 3 units are actually comprising 2 batteries. So we'll say they move in here. And Jones will stay with them. And now, as you can see, we've got the situation is rapidly deteriorating for the Union, even though they have a really good position in the clear terrain right in front of the north part of town. They've got to deal with them and a fresh big division coming in here, and who knows what else is going to come after that. So let's finish up Early's activation by moving his chit onto the played activations and draw the next. And it's Early again, and it's another consecutive again. Grr, grr, grr. We should be mixing Union and Confederates, and we've got divisions that we haven't even seen yet. And we've drawn many chits, but we seem to have concentrated on just a few divisions, which I really do not like. But we'll move forward. I'm going to get a sip of a drink here. And we will return to early. Okay. Let us keep going down the road and continue to try to flank the advanced line for the Union. So we'll move down the road, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start to broaden the front a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 along the road. Gordon will stay on the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this brigade continues its Schwerpunkt formation. Excuse me. Okay, let's see here. We'll start crossing them behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 with a facing change. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Ah, 3. There we go. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can stack. 1, 2, facing change 3, facing change 4, 5, 6. Get their brigadier here. There's 2 brigades. Then we'll move them down the road. 1, 2, facing change 3, 4, 5, 6. Maintain the extended column. And this unit moves up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Move that column there. And move Smith around them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now the artillery still going to be a little backed up behind the road. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Then we'll have Early. Let's see. His radius is 6 hexes. And he should probably stay stacked with one of his brigadiers so he can coordinate. He adds 2 to a coordination die roll. Wow. Early is a very good leader. Let's see. Yule is the corps commander. He's still not gonna be able to stay within radius of him. So he will position himself here. I'll get rid of the movement trails and banners. And that's it for early. A second consecutive draw, and the next out of the hat, early again. Wow, a third consecutive. Oh boy. Okay. Does early want to press it and get and incur fatigue? No. Things are going well. There's probably no need to, well, or they could move into here and really put a lot of pressure on the Iron Brigade and von Gilsa up here. They could probably force them out of that position by using that third activation. Yeah, it does make sense to do that. So that's what they're going to do. Third activation. Now we want to see whether perhaps this brigade might want to move into attack position, but because of these woods here, they're not going to be able to get amongst Barlow's brigade, but they can certainly set up a good line and get ready for next turn. So that's what they're going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't quite make it into the woods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Big flying column here with Gordon right in front. And what's his radius is 5. 1, 2, 3. Let's not get this unit. It's too far in front. We'll make him move there instead. Okay, and then got a little bit of a bog here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like we've got this big block of brigades rather than lines of them. Let's also show hide fatigue and add fatigue. Okay. Gordon, show hide fatigue. Okay, they both add fatigue. We'll come down here to Smith's brigade. And before we even move him, we will show hide fatigue. And now move his units 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, no, 6. There. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And move there. Move this column down the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have what you might call a situation. The artillery is going to start to form up on the road and back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so they can finally make back of the van. Okay, let's see. What's the best way? Facing 2, 4, 5, 6. There. Early. Now, Early, I believe, has 4 activations he might use, or hang on, let me refresh my memory. Early is in Ewell's brigade or Ewell's corps. Yes, he will have another activation if he wishes to use it, but I don't think he wants to pile up fatigue. So knowing that he's going to stop here, he wants to position himself to be as close to where he thinks Ewell's going to be, so that he can also keep all of his many 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 brigades within range. Okay, how to best accompany that or accomplish that? If he stops here with Hayes, he will be stacked with Hayes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he will be in command, he will be in command, he will be in command. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he will be in command. That looks like the best spot to be. Ewell is going to have to come closer to him to take this Woods out if he's going to be in command of Ewell. So there's decent move there. Once again, show that Early has spent an additional activation, and we pull the next shit. Wow. Early drew 4 consecutives. We know he's not going to use that. This thing is not activating. There we go. Pull that out. Random event. Let's roll the dice. Gets a 4. 3 to 5 is a C for Confederate random event. I'm going to have to get out the battle book to see what that means. So hang on, and I'll be right back. All right. First gives you the column, second gives you the row, and then you cross index. Okay, so column 7, row 8, 7, 8, and that results in a O. Free rally. The player may immediately and automatically return any one routed unit to play. Wow. Facing it per 1352. And this may occur more than once during the game. Okay. Well, who's the player? Hmm. The player rolling for the event. So the player that last drew an activation is the one to draw from the cup next. So that would be the Confederate player. So the Confederate player gets to unroute any units. And he's got some units from Heath and 2 strength points left. Then both of these units. Let's have a look at Broken Bro and see whether bringing back one of these units might relieve his problem of being brigade ineffective. So he's got 2 units that routed, and he has 1 left, which is collapsed. So he's got 3 units collapsed or routed out of 4. If he brought back a routed unit, that would mean he would have 2, and he would be right on the cut line between brigade ineffective and effective. So that makes our choice really easy. And the unit that routed was otherwise undamaged as far as strength points go. So he comes back, and it says that he is placed per Rule 1352, which is recovery from route. Let me check that out and see what that means. Okay. To have a routed unit recover, the player undertakes a UDD for the unit using its disordered side cohesion rating. If it passes the check, place the unit on the map within 1 hex of its brigadier, but reduce it by 1 strength point and it's disordered. If the roll is higher than the cohesion, it fails. It loses a strength point and remains routed, but this is a special event, so I assume it can't fail. Let me check and see what that says, because it's really not just placing it as per 152. So within 1 hex of its brigadier where he is, and I assume because this is a special event, it does not lose the strength point that it normally would by the normal route recovery. It just comes back. So these units grow a spine, and that's what happens. Okay, that was interesting. First random event, and now we draw this out, and it's Buford's cavalry. Man, it's been a while since I moved any of Buford's cavalry units. Well, now, with our situation getting a little testy, I think I have a purpose for Buford's cavalry, and that is forming more of a Union right. This is wide open into town, so they're going to form a barrier here against this stream. Okay, so let's look at Buford's cavalry and determine who's in or out of command, because I know I've got some units that are going to be out of command. This radius is 5. Let's see. Maybe if we can use the roads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's still going to be out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These units are all out of command. Let me mark them. Everybody else is in. Buford's here, and his radius is 7, but Devon is out. So they have to sit out at least one activation, but as I've said before, this is not going to be the one. They're going to move into position here to stop the mad dash into town. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or there, they can make it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They'll stand back because they're disordered, and I want to rally them eventually. Then these are also disordered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'll move through town. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Different brigade. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Okay, so that's it for Gamble. Devon. Let me also make another check and make sure that these orchards do cost the cavalry 1 extra. So he moved through an orchard hex as well. Let's just say they don't quite make it to the river. I'm facing there. That is a hex juncture. Okay, then we have Devon's 2, 4, 6, 8. Rest of the cavalry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. A little bit strung out. Devon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Orchards for leaders. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just going to leave the artillery to fend for themselves a bit. And now, where does Devon want to go? Well, we've got more activations than this. He'll go there and rally that unit. And his personal guard will stay behind. And there we have Buford. So Buford's cavalry. Next activation, I'm glad it wasn't Buford. Robinson. Get rid of the move beacons, and now we're over here with Robinson. Okay. I don't know why he's marked as out of command. He is not. Here's Reynolds, who is definitely within range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's check Robinson's troops under him. He's got a radius of 5. 1, 2, 3. And that is Baxter is in range. 1, 2, 3, 4. Paul is in range. The attached artillery is out. As a reminder, we'll look on the org chart and see how many activations this corps gets this turn, and it is 3. So he has 3 to use. Okay. Okay, so Stone's brigade is a little bit exposed. Pettigrew is forming up, and the rest of Heath is still in relative disarray. So, do we want to press the attack with Baxter to try and save Stone? It might actually be a good idea to do that. See, Stone left a unit up here. He should have actually had a unit to move up to support his attack. Oh well, it's a mistake, so we're gonna have to live with it. So Baxter is going to. Well, Baxter also has 1 unit in good order and 2, or a bunch, who are disordered because of the artillery fire they just absorbed. So this might be a good turn for him to actually rally. Let's see. Oof. Okay, so he will move into this hex here. Actually, he'll move here. Robinson will momentarily move here and try to help this stack to rally. And he can later in the turn move back to keep the rest of the division in command. So he's going to move there, Robinson, and he is going to try to help these 3 units rally. So starting from the top, the 11th Pennsylvania, 90th Pennsylvania, and 12th Massachusetts. Each of these die rolls with a -2 modifier. 3, all of them pass. And that is very good news for the Union. This unit here under Baxter gets only a -1 modifier. And 5 minus 3 is 4, and he makes it. He will also use the opportunity to change his facing by 1 vertus as he rallies, as will these. This unit, yeah, he can use a facing change, and that does not constitute movement. It does constitute a pure rally phase, and as such, I can clone one of these and say that they did not. They set out 1 activation, so they have an inactivity marker. There's that brigade, and now moving down here. Oh boy. The Confederates still have to get through that forest there and climb up the hill before they can really come to grips. So I don't think they want to do much of anything either, other than to contemplate a facing change. And so they get a inactivity marker all their own. That's short and sweet, and that's it for Robinson Division. That was, where in the world? Oh, there it is. Robinson AMs used. Now we're starting to pick up a little steam, and now Buford's cavalry reappears. This is their second activation of 3. And now this poor artillery unit. Good grief. Okay, that's 4, and moving up a level for artillery by itself. It's not a steep slope, so it doesn't cost them any either. But the woods cost them 4. So he just kind of lumbers to the top of the hill. These let's form these up first and figure out how we're going to do all of this. Okay, so he'll move here, here, and the rest are still disordered. They just don't seem to have the time to do the rallying right now. Um, Well, we got to do it at some point, so why not now? All these units are going to attempt to rally with Gamble assisting this unit because it's got the most strength points. So -1 to this roll. 4, that's successful. This one unaided, he needs a 6. 7, he fails. This one needs a 5. He makes. Okay, then uh, yeah, Buford doesn't have to move, so he'll help this unit. He's got a 6. He passes. Get a free facing change. Okay, there's Gamble and now Devon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there's Buford. His second activation is completed. And now we're picking up some steam here. Barlow's 1st Division of the 11th Corps. And right on time, they are already in a world of hurt. So if you remember last, there was a cavalry charge over here that this unit made, and this whole right of the Barlow's Knoll position was just caved in. with a whole bunch of guys running to the rear. So we've also now had Gordon moving in on their right and behind them. So this position is now looking either less tenable, or perhaps they're going to have to form a bit of a crescent. That looks like probably the best thing to do. The lead Confederate unit is right here, so they cannot move adjacent to it without changing orders and moving into the attack, which they definitely do not want to do. So let's make as good a defensive position as we can, and we'll have this unit pirouette for 1, 2, 3. Then he'll extend his line to the left, 4. And he will also refuse his line. Thusly. Or actually, no, he doesn't have to do that. This unit can move here. Change its facing with a pirouette. And that's looking good. Okay, this unit, 1, 2, 3. Move there, and he will refuse. There, let's see. That's 5. He'll move in there and strengthen that hex. Ames will take up a position on the road to improve communications. So this unit, I'm gonna, okay. He now has a flank kind of in the air. So he's gonna go there. Five strength points there and 8 strength points there. Oof. I think probably use the 4 strength points there more. And where is Barlow himself? There's Howard. Where's Barlow? We're looking for a division commander. There he is. Barlow is here. He's got a compact front. Oof. He's. I'm really tempted to leave him in the front line to bolster cohesion ratings, but I don't want my division commander to get killed either. Let's see what. Let's zoom in a little bit and see what the reverse of this counter looks like in the event that he should be killed. Radius would go down to 4. You would lose the 1 bonus for attempting to coordinate. The radius would stay the same. Hmm. That's probably worth it. Barlow's going to stand with this unit, or actually on the extended part of this unit. And that's it. Zoom out again and finish with Barlow. Now things are actually starting to move fairly quickly. Buford's cavalry again. A third activation for them. Um, hmm, they are at 0 fatigue. If they use this third activation, they will go to level 1. They really can't afford to do that, so they're going to have to stand pat. The artillery, however, does not fatigue, so he can actually use it. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 along a trail. What is that? Trail or unfinished railroad is half the other terrain in hex, minimum of 1. So that would 1. Okay. So Buford is going to sit out an activation, not use that third one. And we move on and we get Steinwehr. Steinwehr is back here in one of the march columns. That's Schurt's division here. Von Steinwehr. He's going to stay in March. He doesn't want to try to get out of it. So he will ignore that. Okay, so von Steinwehr ignores an activation. Next, Heath. All right, let me check my messages here. No messages. There are a couple people that seem to be in attendance. Feel free to pipe up and post any comments or questions or anything you may have. I hope you're enjoying this playthrough as much as I am. It's really starting to get interesting now. Okay, Heath's division. Here we have old Harry Heath, who has definitely bitten off more than he can chew, but he has had a little bit of luck. With the random event, he got back a routed unit from Broken Bros hard set on brigade. However, this newly wrecked brigade still has all of its units being disordered. So he's going to have to rally at least one of them, or actually even 2 of them, to repair his brigade ineffective condition. So he might as well start trying to do that now. This unit is collapsed and cannot. This unit is disordered and can rally. So Broken Bro is going to move over there and attempt to rally that unit. He rolls a 3, which he reduces by 1. And so this unit actually fully returns to good order. As I said, this unit can't be rallied because it is collapsed. So now he's got 2 units still on the map. And how many have routed? 2 have routed. So 2 have routed and 1 is collapsed. So he's still going to be wrecked. until the nighttime. Well, not much you could do about it. Okay. Then we have Davis's brigade, which is in the same condition of having 3 units that are on map that are disordered. So he's got to try and rally them. Unfortunately, 2 of them have cohesion ratings of only 1. So this unit with 5 is going to be left to its own devices to try and rally itself. And he's going to pick 1 unit to try and rally of this unit and this unit. Well, 11 strength points seems a better unit to have than one that only has 8. So Davis will attempt to rally this unit with a -1 modifier, rolls a 9. So not only does that unit fail, it sheds a strength point to shirkers. Moving up to this unit, which has a 5, he tries to rally himself and actually does. That's a good turn of fortune. You also make use of the free facing change. This unit is going to attempt to rally itself. Unrolls a 2, so it just fails. Also, this unit during a rally can fix its ammo depletion. Forgot to flip it to its ordered side, right? Yes. No, no, no. This one, he failed. He had stragglers, but he can still get ammo. This unit made it, and this unit is now going to try to rally itself. 3. Nope. These units are all going to just fritter themselves away at this rate. Oh, you know what? Actually, no, no, let's not do that. All right, moving up here to Archer. They're going to move down and see if we can cut off Stone's division and finally get this northwest portion of the attack moving. So we have these brigades still under advance. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now remember, they cannot move adjacent to this unit because they are in advance orders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And once they move adjacent, Wadsworth has got to move to a unit in his command. Wrong division. Let's see. This is 3rd Division. It's got to be 1st Division, so he's got to move towards Cutler, but he doesn't want to get too far from Reynolds. He's going to move over there with Cutler. And let's see, where did that unit come from? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Move there. Archer, move there. Uh, let's see, this unit is near collapse, but we don't want him to get too far afield, so he'll just move down here. And this collapsed unit over here. Okay, so now we have Archer making some noise and some pressure over here. Now we got Pettigrew. What's Pettigrew going to do? Actually, oh, darn. Oh, Pettigrew is already under attack orders, and that's exactly what he wants. He's going to try and put the hurt on Stone's unit, which has gotten out ahead of itself. So we can make a free facing change even when adjacent, as long as it is only one vertex. And first we're going to, yeah, we're going to fire at him. He doesn't have a lot of options to retreat, so we're going to fire. As they pivot, Stone's unit would have the option to try and change its facing in reaction, and not wanting to project a flank, it's going to do so and risk the UDD. -1 to the die roll, 2, he passes. So now Pettigrew is going to fire at that unit into its front. He's got 7 strength points of rifles to fire. He's in good order, so +1 for rifles at range, +1 for prepared fire, 7 with a +2 modifier. Roll to 5, which becomes a 7. And with 7 strength points, 7 is an automatic or uppercase D, automatic disorder. This unit is already disordered. So that's a second disorder. So it's going to lose 1 strength point and have to retreat 2 hexes. So we'll do 4. We'll check to see if Stone catches a bullet. He does not. And he will have to retreat 1 or 2 hexes. Let's make it 2 just to get behind Willoughby Run. He would have had the chance to return fire before he left, however. He was then 5 strength points of rifles +1, -1 for being disordered. So 5 strength points and no modifiers. Rolled an 8. Not bad. And that results in 5, 8 automatic disorder for Pettigrew's unit. So that disorder also means that he is done for the turn and cannot use his ability to continue to move by dint of being under attack orders. So this unit here of Stones was able to cover itself rather well, but perhaps not well enough, because this unit, 1, 2, still not going to be able to get very close, but you might be able to. Hmm. Darn. Well, we anticipate that these units are not going to stick around with our division mates coming in behind them in the rear. So if we're going to do anything, we should strike in this direction. But they've got a lot of troops, However, being under attack orders, they would not be under options to retreat before shock. So let's do this. Hmm. I don't want to get too far out in advance because I'm not going to get any help from these guys. Okay. I'm going to move out here, change facing, and extend to the right. Basically set up for an attack. All right. Now Heath has this Garnett's artillery now under his command. He has relinquished command of this artillery to Pendleton. Hmm. Darn, I should have put some artillery um, AMs into the hat, and I didn't do that. Hmm. Okay, something to remember for next turn. This artillery is probably going to be very useful in keeping the Union moving backwards. Oh boy. Let's take up a position here. Too far. See if they possibly have a shot at these units here. If they do fire, they would have a -2 modifier for moving, unlimbering, and firing. But first, let's determine if they even have a shot. So they would be firing over this terrain, which is at their same level, and then these units are behind it. So if we try to determine this line of sight, it's at a range of 7. This unit is at level 1, level 2, 3. This is at level 3. So 3 plus 1 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. So level 3, which would be higher than 2, would be the potential blocking terrain. It is this terrain here. Let me hide. Ooh, it actually does not intersect that. So it doesn't pass this. So it does have a clear line of sight to that. It can fire over the heads of these units because they are far enough removed from that unit as not to get in the way. So let's see what kind of a shot we can get here. All right, we have a melange of guns here. Napoleons, 3-inch, Parrott 10s, all at a range of 7. So let's look at our range attenuation chart and see what we get. At range of 7, we have Napoleons, we have Parrott 10s, and TBs. They're all zeros at that range, so that's good. So we can combine all these guns here. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 7 guns at a range of 7. No modifier for that. Plunging fire for firing from the top of Schoolhouse Ridge. And the size of this target is 9. I believe that qualifies as a large target. Let's check and make sure that 9 is a large target. I believe that's the cutoff line. Whoops, going the wrong way. Here we go. Artillery, large target. Where is it? Mass target 8 plus at bombardment range, so that is a plus. Okay, so +1 for firing from elevation, +1 for a large target, and -2 because they moved. So it is a unmodified roll with 7 guns on the bombardment table, and we get a 9. Ooh, and that is an automatic disruption. Good shooting, Tex. And if we fire here, from here, I think that terrain may come into play. Let me change it facing properly. Okay, let's hide the terrain and see what we've got here. Okay, it's range 7 there and possible intervening terrain, but I think we have the same situation with what the level of blocking terrain is. It's got to be this range. This is level 1, level 2, level 3. 1 plus 3 is 4 divided by 2, which makes 3 the blocking terrain. So if this is closer to this unit than that unit, then it would block. Range here is 3, range here is 4. So it does not block. So we have another shot. Let's see what we got here. 8 guns. We've got Napoleons. We've got 3-inch and H-12 howitzers, which I think have a maximum range of only 7, so they will not be able to. Oh, no, they will be able to participate. Let's see what the range attenuation for them is at 7 hexes. TB, or no, it's H-12s. No, their max range is 8. 5 to 7, it's all zeros. So all those guns can combine their fire. 2, 4, 6, 8 guns, 0 modifier for range. -2 for having moved and then fired. So we're at -2. Firing from elevation is a +1, and a mass target is a +1 again. So again, unmodified, and we're firing 8 guns and another 8. And I think that's going to result in another disorder, automatic disorder. 8 guns, 8. No, it's a D plus 3. Okay. So a D plus 3 on the roll is 0 plus 3. They pass. Their cohesion when disordered is 5, so they pass. Okay. I think, well, no, that doesn't quite do it because these artillery units are going to stay under Heath's command because I did not actually put Pendleton's chits into the cup. So as not to penalize him, he's going to stay. These artillery are going to stay under Heath's command for one more turn. Okay, let's see what they've got brewing. Let's hide this because terrain, I think, is going to factor in. This unit might be sequestered behind that hill. I'm not sure. let's see, he is at level 1, this is level 2, level 3, level 4. So 4 plus 1 is 5, halved is 2.5. So level 3 is the potential blocking terrain, and that would be this light brown would be the potential blocking terrain, and it will not be closer to this unit than any of these units. So all of these units can be targeted. Now, because there is an intervening friendly unit, they can't fire at a unit closer than 2 hexes beyond that unit. Line of sight would block their unfurled flags and all of that. So this unit would not be able to be targeted, but this unit and maybe this unit would. Yeah, from the units over here, provided this unit doesn't block it. Um, no, right. Okay. This unit would not be considered when trying to figure out what's going on with these, because one house rule I use is that if a unit is considered to be blocked visibility wise, it cannot itself block to another unit farther down range. Okay, so let us check our line of sight and see what we got brewing here. We've got range 5 here, and yeah, let's take that shot. Or let's see, what about over here? We would have to change facing. Oof. Yeah, this we should soften up these units. Okay, so we've got 8 guns firing at a range of 5, which we know is a 0 modifier for these weapons. Um, 8 guns, range 5, 0 modifier, still a large target. It's 8 plus, and firing from elevation. That makes for a +2 modifier. 5 plus 2 equals 7. And returning to our bombardment table, 8 guns, rolling a 7 is a D plus 2. He has a 7 cohesion. 8 plus 2 is 10. They are disordered. Moving next door, they are going to pull off the same shot. Now we've got 4 guns with a +2 modifier. 2 plus 2 is 4. With 4 guns, that results in a D minus 1. Still the same 5 cohesion. 4 minus 1 is 3. So their cohesion is 5 and they pass. Moving down the line to this battery. We can still fire down that slope and heap the misery on. 4 guns of Napoleons at range 7. I believe should still be a 0 for Napoleons at 7. Yes, it is. So +2 for them. Ooh, an 11. How many guns is that? 4? 4 guns with an 11. That's still going to hurt. 11 is a D, automatic disorder. They are already disordered, so they shed a strength point and must retreat 1 or 2 hexes. They will retreat 2. Let's see, there's not a unit under Reynolds there. Reynolds is a little exposed there. And finally, we're over here, and the section that, oh, it's an entire battery. It's 2 sections of the same battery. They are having ammo problems, so we're going to fix those ammo problems and just do a rally for them so they do not fire. Excellent. So it seems like the Confederates are starting to finally break through this forward ridge line, and even Heath's division is starting to see some effects. Not bad. Let's see what we're doing for time. Wow, we've just crossed 3 hours. So, well, hang on. Let me check and see what we've got left in the hat and whether or not we should try and finish the turn. We've still got a nice hefty stack here to go. So I think we're going to have to bisect this turn and stop here. Where is Heath? Heath, there he is. That was his first activation. And we're going to stop here. We still have quite a few activations to go. So I'm going to tidy this up, and we are going to end the log file. So we have a record of this, especially all of the consecutive draws from the randomizer hat. We are going to save the game. And that I'm going to call mid 2 p.m. Mid 2 p.m. Save the game state. And now we're ready to pick up where we left off the next time we start. So we're going to draw close to it. We are midway through the 2 p.m. turn, and we are ready to draw the next chit. And I hope to see you again when we start episode 10H of the playthrough for 3 Days of Gettysburg, first day, July 1st, 1863. This has been Alan Dickerson or Stiglr hosting here the playthrough, and we'll see you next time.